Welcome to the degenerate gambling life. Hope some of you guys were able to meet up with some of our team in Vegas as they took over poker rooms, video poker machines, and concerts up and down the strip and all the venues Las Vegas has to offer. Now let's talk about the big game that happened Sunday between the San Francisco 49ers and Kansas City Chiefs when they met head-to-head for the Super Bowl 58. The game had everything: fumbles, interceptions, blown punt returns, block kicks, and field goal records. Not to mention some touchdowns sprinkled in here and there. The first half was a display of phenomenal defense by both teams. Each team was able to force a fumble and recover it, while punting dominated most of the drives throughout the first half. San Francisco rookie kicker Jake Moody would put the first points on the board when he set the record for longest field goal in a Super Bowl at 55 yards out. Thanks to a Pacheco fumble on Kansas City's following drive, the Niners would keep the goose egg on their opponent's scoreboard. A few drives later is when Shanahan pulled some tricks out of the bag. When 2nd and 10 from the Chiefs' 21-yard line, Brock Purdy took the snap, threw to his left to Juwan Jennings, who then threw back across the field all the way to Christian McCaffrey. With some good blocking, McCaffrey was able to run almost untouched for the first TD of the game and a 10-point lead. Kansas City on their next drive would finally be able to string some plays together, leaning heavy on Isaiah Pacheco, with some Rashee Rice sprinkled in on that one. Knowing they would get the ball back at the start of the second half, there was not too much pressure for them to get the ball into the end zone, and they would settle for a field goal. What was looking to be a quiet game at halftime really took a turn in the second half, but not before both defenses continued to show why they are among the league's best. On the Chiefs' opening drive, Mahomes threw the only interception of the game, but it would be for naught, as the next three possessions by either team were 3 and out. Kansas City kicker Harrison Butker would then break the record previously set in the second quarter when he banged in a 57-yard field goal to cut the Niner lead to 4. The next two drives, one by San Francisco and one by KC, would both go 3 and out, but this is where the game got interesting. With 2 minutes left in the third quarter, KC were forced to punt. The ensuing punt would hit the foot of 49ers special teams players, and the Chiefs would recover on the 49ers 16-yard line. One play is all it took for Mahomes and co. to finally get one into the end zone when Valdez-Scantling ran down the seam almost wide open to pay dirt. But Brock Purdy did not blink. On the next possession, orchestrating a 12-play, 75-yard drive, ending in a touchdown pass to Juwan Jennings, who joins Nick Foles as the only players in NFL history to have a receiving and passing touchdown in the same game of a Super Bowl. The next three possessions were all special teams, as the Chiefs would tie it with a field goal. San Fran would go back up by 3, only for the Chiefs to send the game into overtime as the clock expired. Overtime would see the 49ers win the toss and elect to receive the kick. They would go on an impressive drive, which kept seeming like they would punch it in for a touchdown, but ultimately would be stopped short at the 9-yard line and settle for the field goal. The door was left open for the Chiefs, and Patrick Mahomes continued to build upon his legacy when he commanded a masterful drive in overtime, culminating in a 3-yard touchdown strike to Mecole Hardman, ending the game. As a 49er fan, this was a tough ending. The 49ers defense showed up to play, which was my biggest question mark coming into this game. While they were able to keep Kelsey quiet in the first half, he was able to find his stride and cooked up for 9 receptions and 93 yards. Keeping Mahomes contained was their biggest issue, and that may be on the loss of Dre Greenlaw. As most of you saw, he tore his Achilles tendon trying to run onto the field early in the first half. Brock Purdy lived up to my expectations. Was cool, calm, collective, even when the beginning of the game wasn't going well. He made no mistakes, no interceptions, and led some impressive drives, especially after going down by the end of the third quarter into the fourth quarter. Brock will no longer have the luxury of the Mr. Irrelevant tag, as I believe he has solidified himself as a top 10 QB in this league. And as a subject of the 49ers electing to receive the ball first in the overtime period, I personally think that is the right decision. While I know a lot of people have been arguing that was the wrong call. You take the ball and you expect to put points on the board, and the pressure piles on the second team to have the ball. And second, if you score a TD or a field goal on the opening drive and the opposing team counters with the same, then you are put in possession of the ball in a legit sudden death. Next score wins. Whether or not the 49ers knew the playoff overtime rules, the correct decision was made. This is Mahomes' third Super Bowl win and first back-to-back title for any team in 19 seasons. For a QB of his caliber, you cannot give him that much time at the end of regulation and in overtime to get his team into scoring position. He is a master regardless of how good the opposing defense is. There's no doubt Mahomes is among the best to ever play the position, and it'll be fun watching him continue to chase Tom Brady. Super Bowl 59 next year will be hosted in New Orleans. It will be their 11th time hosting, tying Miami for most Super Bowls hosted. And that is how the Super Bowl unfolded, unfortunately.
All right, how is it going, everyone? I literally just got back from Vegas with the team. We had a great trip for Super Bowl weekend. Let's jump into a few hot takes. First up, gonna start with the Super Bowl champs, the Chiefs. They will not three-peat. I'm going with history here. No team has ever three-peated in the NFL, and I don't think it's going to start now. The 49ers of the 80s, they had that whole decade locked up. The Steelers of the 70s, and none of them three-peated. So I'm saying it right now, the Chiefs will not be the first team to three-peat. Next, the Cowboys will not advance past the divisional round, and their Super Bowl drought will go to 30 years. Boo-hoo, Cowboys fans. Got to see you guys all around the Super Bowl. Again, acting like you guys won 5 in the last 6 years. Nope, it's going to go 30-plus years, Cowboys fans. You guys are closer to the Browns than you are to the Patriots or the Chiefs or even where the 49ers are right now. All right, the sooner you guys accept that, the sooner people will quit hating on the Cowboys. Next, going to pick some division winners for next season. For the AFC, I am going with the Texans, the Dolphins, the Bengals, and the Chiefs. Even though I think they will not three-peat, I still think they win that division unless, let's say the Chargers, Joe, real quickly. But those are my teams for the AFC. Next, the division winners next year for the NFC. We're going to go with the Eagles because everyone knows that division flip-flops every other year. I could even see a weird scenario where Washington somehow puts it all together with a quarterback. The Packers, going to be a little bit of a homer there, but I could see, them in the line slugging out and the Packers pulling out the W. The Buccaneers and the 49ers. So those are your hot takes.
My hot take of the week is that Travis Kelce is going to break up with the Chiefs and retire, and we'll see if Patrick Mahomes and company can stay on top for the next 5 to 10 years without him. I think Mahomes is good enough, but maybe they're in for a little bit of a slump next year if Travis Kelce does not return, because he's going to Swiftland forever, and that's my hot take.
All right, we're going to get into a couple of poker hands. The first one, we're at the Orleans playing 1-3, not in middle position, and I look down at the Queen of Clubs and the Jack of Diamonds. I make it $11, and we get 3 callers. So we go to a flop. The flop is the Ace of Clubs, the King of Hearts, and the 10 of Diamonds. We're loving it. We flop the absolute nuts. It checks to me, and I bet $27 to try to get value for people that hit one of their cards. The hijack and the button call. So I'm liking this. We go to a turn, the 10 of spades. I bet $42, and now the hijack makes it $90. The button folds. I think about it by call because I still believe I have the best hand, and we go to a river. The river is a 7 diamonds, and now I lead for $128. The hijack snap calls, and I show my straight, and he shows the Jack of Clubs and 10 of Hearts. He had trips, and my straight was good, and we scooped that massive pot. The next hand that we're playing here at the Orleans against a 1-3. So, hand number 2. The hijack limps to her, and she makes it $15. I'm on the button, and I look down at the Queen of Hearts and the Jack of Hearts. And I call, and so does 3 other people. So we go to the flop. The flop is the Jack of Spades, the 7 of diamonds, the 4 of hearts. It checks now to the hijack and flow, and she continues for 20. I think about it, I think I'm pretty good with this board, and I got backdoor heart, so I call and everyone else folds. The turn is a 10 of spades. The hijack now sizes up a little and makes it 40. I don't think too long, and I call. The river's a 10 of diamonds. The hijack now makes it 100. I tank, and I finally make the call, and I get shown pocket jacks. She made a full house on the river, flopped the set, and I paid her every single street. I showed my queen jack, and the main reason why I made this play is it was very early at this table, and we're playing on Super Bowl Sunday, and a lot of times you're going to be playing there for hours because people don't want to get up because of all the bonuses they're giving. And I wanted to see, she seemed like she is a very competent player, and I want to see if she was going to maybe have a triple barrel bluff in her. I thought I had a decent hand for catching a bluff, when in reality, she was trying to figure out how to get max value out of me. She played it very well, and so I learned a valuable lesson with her, and she actually was fairly on the tight side, I learned, but she got max value from me. So those are 2 hands that we played at the Orleans.
You want that plastic working? Come Miller time.
I can foresee a lot of possible outcomes to this thing, and not a single one of them involves Miller time.
PMA. Positive mental attitude.
Welcome to Miller Time. I'm Kevin Miller, and on today's episode, I'm going to be discussing with everyone when to get up from the poker table. I know this is a secret science that there is no perfect answer to, but I'm going to give you guys a few pointers and tips of things to look for when you're playing poker and when it's time to get up. First, if you're not playing well, get up. You're not always going to be on your A game. Some things aren't always going to go your way, and if it's affecting you, if you can feel the tilt, or you can feel the way you're playing changing and not becoming optimal, get up. Either get your chips off the table or take a walk or a lunch break, but get up and hit the pause button on that bleeding. Second, one of the more annoying things, when a couple of the fish or whales get knocked out and don't rebuy and get replaced with some really sharp players, and the game kind of dries up and everyone starts limping, to me, that's the time to ask for a table change and get into a different game. If you can't table change, it's probably best just to call it a day and to cut your losses or take your win while you have it. And finally, if you're at a table where no one's talking, everyone's wearing sunglasses or on their phone every hand, these generally aren't good tables. You want people to be friendly, laughing, talking to each other, splashing chips around. That's when you're going to find yourself making more money and winning big pots easier versus having to have the nuts versus second nuts just to win 100 big blinds. These are my tips of when to get up and when not to. I hope you enjoyed them. Make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe button and leave a comment in the section with any questions you have. And we'll see you next time.
Soccer hooligans.
This is the Degenerate Gambling Life's Added Minutes. I'm Jordan Tennis. To the hosts, go the spoils was the theme of both Confederation Finals taking place this past weekend. The Asian Cup host Qatar took a 1-0 lead into halftime thanks to a penalty converted by Akram Afif, which was conceded by Jordanian player Abdallah Nasib. Jordan began to find their footing in the second half, and after seeing a few good chances go awry, they were able to equalize in the 67th minute when Al Naimat took a beautiful first touch off the cross to set up an opportunity for him to have a shot on goal, and he did not waste that opportunity. The momentum was now in Jordan's favor. However, that only lasted 6 minutes as Qatar were awarded a second penalty for a trip in the box. The hosts were back on top 2-1 when Afif converted that second penalty of the day, but to Jordan's credit, they did keep up the pressure and were close to equalizing again before Qatar were once again awarded another penalty. 3 penalties awarded on the day. And who else was going to step up to take it? None other than the tournament's top scorer and the man who already slotted 2 home from the spot earlier in the game. Akram Afif completed his hat trick and at the final whistle was able to claim player of the tournament honors, top scorer of the tournament, while watching his team and nation celebrate on home soil their back-to-back Asian Cup triumphs. Elsewhere in the world was the African Cup of Nations final, which saw tournament host Côte d'Ivoire Les Elefantes host the Nigerian Super Eagles. Nigeria took the lead in the 38th minute when Trust Ekong headed in a goal off a corner kick. With a 1-0 lead at halftime, the Super Eagles were bouncing, but Les Elefantes had the corner kick tricks up their own sleeve. They would put it on display in the 62nd minute when Frank Kessie headed home the equalizer. We would have to wait 19 minutes for the next big play of the final when Ivory Coast's Sebastian Haller volleyed in the winner to send the stadium into a frenzy. Haller, who was diagnosed with cancer last year, was able to beat that and also beat an ankle injury to return in time for the tournament and help send his nation a win on home soil. The scenes were absolute bliss and pandemonium when the final whistle sounded. This was the 3rd AFCON title for the Ivory Coast, joining Nigeria on 3 championships. Ghana has 4, Cameroon has 5, Egypt leads the way with 7 wins. That will wrap up this week's added minutes. I hope you guys have a good week.
Okay, let's jump into some fantasy basketball as we get closer and closer to fantasy basketball playoffs. First up, we have Precious Achiuwa, New York Knicks. He's been just on fire since Julius Randle got hurt, and he was really high prospect coming out of high school, and so maybe he's just finally rounded into a player that everyone thought he would be coming into college and then the pros. So he gives you position availability at the power forward and center. He's available in 53% of the leagues. The last month he's been player 73. In the last 2 weeks, player 16. He's going to give you 15 points, 1 3-pointer made, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks. Just filling up that stat sheet. So if you can, go out there and add him. Next player we're going to talk about adding is going to be Aaron Nesmith. He's on the Indiana Pacers. He gives you small forward and power forward flexibility. He's available in 41% of leagues. He's been player 79 the last month and player 41 the last 2 weeks. He also is going to give you 15 points, give you 2 3-pointers made, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and 1 steal. So these are 2 players you should look to add, and definitely just keep an eye on all these players, especially as teams start going younger if they're out of it. So just keep an eye out, and hopefully you guys make the playoffs in fantasy basketball. Next, we're going to talk about another meetup game. As Vegas was great. Actually, let's take a moment to stop and thank everyone that came to our meetup games in Vegas. Thank you all. First night at Mandalay Bay, we had 4 tables. It was a lot of fun. And then at Caesars, I think at High Point we had 11 tables, and we met a lot of nice people the whole weekend. We were there and had a great time. Got to see the Offspring play for free, so the Vegas trip was fantastic. But that trip closes, and so now we're going to go on to our next trip. So we will be in Shreveport April 5th through the 7th. Come out, meet some of the people on the Degenerate Gambling Life team. We're going to have a meetup game at the Horseshoe Casino at 1 p.m. on April 6th, that's Saturday. So please come out, say hi to us. If you'd like some merchandise, please mention in the comment section. We'll get back to you. And if you haven't yet, please comment, like, and subscribe. Thank you all for watching.